What are you up to? What are you up to? What are you looking at? What do you want? And I want to know, because if I know what you want, I can predict how you're going to behave. Then I felt that whatever had descended, it seemed that as if it was sorrowful, and it departed from me slowly. Whereas I shook physically for about half an hour after that. They're stuck in the past.
Hey everybody, it's Grim. Okay, so today's show involves, as you saw, the wizard, Jordan Peterson. This show is brought to you by the Virtually Not Alone Network. Together, we're virtually not alone. The thing is this show is going to involve high wizardry and whatnot. So we're going to roll savings throws. You pick either survival, social, wisdom, or heart. And then your savings throw is that die against the mind control that's going to be in this episode. Got that? All right. So, here goes your savings throws. All right, those of you who pick survival as yours, as your savings throw. All right, 2. Okay. Those of you who pick social, 16. Good job. Wisdom, 2. And the hard folks, 13. If you're the true people, you might be influenced heavily by the mind control that follows. Continue at your own discretion. Welcome to Whalebone Whitewash, the Grim Grizz commentary part on Jordan Peterson Fancy Man's Enlightenment and the Righteous Mind. Enlightenment and the Righteous Mind. All right, so here's the backstory and good channel update. Channel update. The game of Blind Elephant has been scheduled for the recording of the game of Blind Elephant with me, Mark, Chris, and Chad, and that other guy, the bald one, is scheduled. It's scheduled to be recorded. It's very exciting. And our topic is cognitive outsourcing. And these things I know. And right after I learned those things, I learned that none other than Paul Vanderlei himself was recording a Peterson commentary. And this is the hot... and this is the...
A highly non-random sample of the worst things that have happened in any given period. Our sense of risk and danger and prevalence is driven by anecdotes and images and narratives that are available in memory.
So I figured he's going to be doing the commentary on this thing. And I'm going to do the famous move I like so much, the Scoopy McScooperton scoop, and say things that he probably is going to completely miss because he's old and blind. But hey, I can see and we're talking, so hey, you can see. Isn't that neat? All right. Now, let us begin. I'm not going to watch most of this. That's just the way it is. But I saw these titles, the chapter titles come. They're timestamps. Discussion on the dangers posed by the new world. Okay, so they're already like putting it in your mind that it's a thing. Like it's not the coming new world, no, it's the new world. It's, you know what I mean? Watch how they couch terms, okay? Watch for it. And welcome to the Grim Grizz commentary on Enlightenment and the Righteous Mind. Whalebone Whitewash. This episode is brought to you by the Shadow Cabal of production executives. And remember, but there is no agency. We want what's best for you. Hello. I see the assassins have failed. So, and now thusly begin the commentary part. Let's go.
Allows a small group to weaponize their moralism and to intimidate others into silence. And this is happening in so many institutions, not everywhere, but it is happening. And so what we need to do is not change a generation. What we need to do is change the dynamics so that bad ideas don't dominate and intimidate.
So why do you single out 2012?
2012 is when the Mayan calendar indicated the start of a new cycle. And that
when Facebook added the like button and Twitter added the retweet button. And before then, social media was not particularly polarizing. I haven't taught Psych 101 in 10 years. But if you think about it, many people have seen that video of B.F. Skinner training a pigeon to turn in a circle by just reinforcing slightly more counterclockwise behaviors in the video. And if you think about it.
All right, I'd like to point out, because otherwise I won't, the color of his wall, short, table there, and then blue on the other side. Remember that this is a person who goes around gathering all the latest research and how to manipulate minds. Oh, I mean,
As soon as someone gets on social media and they post something, now people are giving them little reinforcements. And it's within seconds. I mean, you post something and then sometimes you check within a minute, what did people think about it?
Anybody who can identify the artist who made that art will get an achievement unlock in the Discord.
These are ideas that I developed with Tobias Rose Stockwell. We had an article in The Atlantic on why everything's going haywire, why democracy is going haywire, or something like that.
Well, the positive feedback loop idea is really interesting too.
Because it's the same as that John Vervaeke guy says about reciprocal narrowing, which reminds me, reciprocity resonance. See, what's going to happen is, they're going to ask Paul, hey, what are you doing with that troll? And he'll be like, watch. You just watch what I do with this troll. And then they'll be like, hey, maybe that's what we should do with Paul Vanderklay. And then, you see, they'll fractal up. Oh, but
well, we had an article in The Atlantic on why democracy is going haywire, or something like that.
Okay, so this guy puts out headlines like democracy is going haywire, right? And remember what they told you at the very beginning.
Case for progress, that is for striving for more progress,
no,
being a true progressive, is again not
that bit. Hold on.
Or a city that has not been attacked by terrorists, which almost by definition we hear it non-ranking in the worst things that have happened in any given period. Basing your understanding of the world on data rather than journalism. The problem with journalism being that it is a highly non-random sample of the worst things that have happened in any given period. It is an availability machine in the sense of Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman's availability heuristic, namely our sense of risk and danger and prevalence is driven by anecdotes and images and narratives that are available in memory. Whereas
Okay, so them knowing that, also putting out headlines like democracy going haywire. Do you see those two? How those fit together? I think I have to let the cat out. Here, watch. Where were we? Here?
Because a lot of psychopathologies are positive feedback loops. So if you get depressed and you start isolating yourself because you're depressed, you get more depressed. If you drink alcohol and go into withdrawal and then drink to cure that, you become alcoholic. If you are agoraphobic and you avoid, you get more afraid. Like a lot of psychopathological processes are positive feedback loops. And so the combination of the algorithm with the we don't know what these technologies are doing to us. We don't have a clue.
Papa Peterson, guess what? Not only is this also like they're positive feedback loops, but like humans, we get better at anything we do. Everything we do is practice. We're constantly endangering future timelines. So every ounce of our time and attention is vitally important to the future of multiple universes.
We have no
well,
sense
we have some
whatsoever.
Clues, and it's pretty much all bad. So yes, we get that feedback loop that now you can have the echo chambers and bubbles. If you're prone to extremist politics on either side, because based on what you like or what YouTube videos you watch, that sucks you down into more extreme ones and into a community. So the algorithms are doing two things. They're picking our friends because they're going they say you should meet this person because people you know meet him. So the algorithms are making our friends different from what they used to be, and the algorithms are making what we watch and consume different. And in some ways that's good because it's things that we enjoy. But one of the problems for a liberal democracy, as the founding fathers knew, is factionalism. People become so focused on defeating the other side, they lose sight, they lose concern for the common good.
Well, you might also think that it would be necessary, like if you go to public school, you go to school with 30 people who are basically randomly selected from the population. And so then you have to
maybe in Canada,
modify.
Okay.
Well, in Canada.
Maybe in Canada.
You have to modify your behavior to take into account a broad range of people, and you didn't pick.
I don't. No, I don't. Oh, this bit is like so much wizardry. Let's go, wizardry. I'm not Big Bear, but watch it. Rhetorical wizardry, right? Shit.
Eyes and ears. When we were all growing up, we watched way too much television, but television was made by older people. It was made by people who were not children. And so we at least, from watching Bugs Bunny, you're at least exposed to opera and you're exposed to certain cultural themes and you even have a sense of the 1940s, let's say. But once everyone got onto social media all the time, now the river of input, so much of it was created in the last week or two by people your age. And so there's just not much room.
I get his point, but I also want to point out that like what the algorithms are feeding your children is not necessarily your children because you're such good parents, but like a lot of children are being fed unsupervised by the algorithm in the same way he was just talking about.
For people in this post-war, in the after times, let's say, after the social media world, there's not much room for kids to learn anything about the 20th century or communism or Nazism or great literature. So much input is jammed up with trivia, ephemera, and to the extent that there's political content, it's not broadening your mind, it's turning you into the kind of factionalist that the founding fathers feared. So that's my most pessimistic take. That yes, Steve is right. We had incredible progress up until 2009.
Listen to that. That wasn't practice.
So much input is jammed up with trivia, ephemera, and to the extent that there's political content, it's not broadening your mind. It's turning you into the kind of factionalist that the founding fathers feared.
That the founding fathers feared.
So that's my most pessimistic take. That yes, Steve is right. We had
It could be, but you see, this intergenerational thing that we're doing, if like you pass it on, there's a Lestat problem. That's why I called this the whalebone whitewash, because these guys are in the belly of the whale and they're old and blind, and they're just reinforcing their own. Let me get to the part. I know people don't like to fast forward, but I gotta find it. Hold on.
Incredible progress up until 2009, but in the world after 2012, I think our institutions, the institutions of liberal democracy, are in such danger. That is
there he starts right away. This line right. Whoa. What do I need?
Yeah, if not for disgust, I probably would have just been somebody studying relatively dry aspects of moral psychology without reasoning and fairness.
Right, that takes you down into the emotional and the instinctual level.
Exactly. That's right. Disgust is the... Yeah, and there's a big debate in, they'll want that. But now it's clear that the founders were right that a diverse democracy, a democracy per se, is very difficult, very fragile, and as Madsen said, as violent in their deaths as they are short-lived in their lives. And so the 20th century, we had all kinds of centripetal pressures, including especially World War II. So there was this period where,
So there are a lot of these long-term movements that are continuing. And you also got to remember that in the 60s and 70s, for one thing, domestically, there were
this guy reminds me of a Roman senator
with police shooting a dozen rioters a night. The Weathermen, the Black Liberation Armies, the Mayonnaise Liberation Army.
I'm getting all of that too. Oh yeah, things are materially things are continuing to get better. I give you all of that.
What they don't seem to see in this section is that like it's basically one of the first like Captain Kirk Star Trek episodes, where the one where whenever they have a war, they just like have everybody report to be incinerated because the other team won that many people. We've elevated to the information war. We're fighting over like hordes of zombie followers we have under mind control to give us power and influence. Because look at all these eyes I can point at you with my words. Mwahaha! Would you like to sell some commercials with me, baby?
And if you listen back, I mean, I've been watching the Apple TV series in 1971, the year that music changed everything.
Oh, cool.
Highly.
Tribe signaling, baby. Are you an Apple user? You know they have suicide nets on their factories? We're elite, baby. So elite.
Recommended.
Okay.
It's a reminder of a lot of the political inanity of our generation and our older brothers and sisters who were Maoists, who were Marxists, who were violent insurrectionists, and not just in rhetoric, but there really was a lot of violence. There were bombings, there were judges whose heads were blown off.
Oh my God.
It was a pretty ugly time. And even in terms of, it's certainly true that there is no overall progressive force toward liberal democracy, and there's absolutely been a recession in the last decade.
If Paul doesn't go over in his video today that comes out after this one about how the buzzwords are holy words and these guys sure as heck say liberal democracy a whole lot, and like liberal and conservative originally meant in how we apply the Constitution. So, like, couldn't we have a conservative democracy under that? No, because they're used buzzword, holy wording, something else, tribe signaling. Did you see that thing he did?
It was a pretty ugly time. And even in terms of, it's certainly true that there is no...
Input is jammed up with...
This guy was a lot worse about the liberal democracy, holy word thing. So, let's see if I can catch that in this clip.
That the institutions of liberal democracy are in such danger that it's quite possible that the future will not be like the past. I don't know what's going to happen, but I now see that as a possibility that I didn't see 5 years ago.
And what do you see as the danger at the moment?
So the danger, I think, is that a secular liberal democracy is a miraculous thing, but a fragile thing. And we briefly thought in the 1990s, with the fall of the Berlin Wall, that this was the end of history. Liberal democracy had won. Eventually, North Korea, Iran, well, everybody's going to be a liberal democracy. Once they get a little richer, they'll want that. But now it's clear that the founders were right that a diverse democracy, a democracy per se, is very difficult, very fragile, and as Madison said, as violent in their deaths as they are short-lived in their lives.
I think, see, that's particularly disturbing because I am aware of the Fifth Amendment, and the Fifth Amendment is how we update the operating system of the software via our state legislatures calling a constitutional convention. And he's talking about dies as part of the rollout to the totalitarian regime we've been sold out to.